Hey everybody, welcome back. Whoops, that's the wrong save file. Psych! That's the wrong number. Oh, I don't want to ruin my voice this early in the day. 81VJ9NGQ. Look at these stats, dude. This is a great run from a statistics standpoint. Damage is low, but rate of fire is more than high enough to compensate. HP is really that, you know, we don't know. I'm not even... Here's how good our DPS is, or at least our rate of fire specifically. It's so good. I don't know if we want that. It's so good that I'm not even complaining about the existence of Plan C. I'm actually, like... I'm relatively okay that Plan C exists right now. I'm okay with it. I'm hip. I'm with it. I'm tucka. I'm not upset. No real reason not to do that one there. And the stars will save us a key, which seems pretty useful right now. Obviously, we're just kind of... I don't want to call it treading water, but we're just waiting until the next floor to have some kind of idea of where our HP is. We'd love to get a spacebar item just because, like, if our HP is high enough at least, our most likely cause of death, and I'm not being sarcastic here, is getting that curse that makes you travel to the wrong room sometimes when you move through a door, and then hitting the space bar thinking that we're skipping the boss animation, but in reality, we actually have just entered a normal room and used Plan C and ended our own lives. So we gotta be, like, actually genuinely cautious about that, so let's pay attention to our curse. And we do have a decent amount of HP. An amount of HP you can hang your hat on. Of course, you probably don't need me to say that I am very, very stoked to have gotten Magic Mushroom here. I mean, I look to this run, and I see it's insanely positive. I see Tears of 6. Good HP 2. Adequate speed. Adequate shoots. And I think to myself, what a wonderful seed. I don't want to be a downer here. This is not meant to be a downer question. But do you think that's the most played song at North American funerals? I've said it a few times. I'm very lucky. You know, in my life, I've only been to, I don't know, I've probably been to less than 10 funerals. It's not to say I haven't had, like, you know, close family members die, but I think, you know, relatively few compared to, you know, like the average person my age. And I know, again, I'm not trying to make this a joke necessarily, but people are like, wow, you're so lucky. And I'm like, well, I am. I don't, you know, for sure. At the same time, it's not like, you know, I'm never going to have to deal with it. I'm just setting myself up for, like, a couple of really bad years further down the line. Anyway, so with that out of the way, I do feel like those are, that's one of those classic, you know, funeral songs. It's a beautiful song, of course, you know. It lightens everybody's mood a little bit, or at least makes them melancholic instead of mournful. It's gotta be up there. I like Ma the Void, but I'm a little nervous still, to be honest. No spacebar items. Hate to see it. You ever give any thought to what you want played at your own funeral? I have in the past. And I always struggle with, like, I don't know. I think people sometimes, they have very selfish views of, like, their funeral. Here's the thing. I understand. You only get one funeral. And you don't even get to go to it unless you're like, didn't that happen in, like, you know, Tom Sawyer or something? Not the song, the novel. So you're like, at my funeral, I don't want anybody to be sad. I just want it to be a big party. I'm like, dude, you don't get to choose how people mourn your death. You can put it in the will or something, but, you know, people are probably going to be sad. You don't get to say, like, my one wish is that nobody's sad. It's not for you to decide, you know? So the song is like the same thing. Sometimes I hear people, like, you know, they're like, I'll play a troll song. Play, like, Back from the Dead by Spinal Tap or something like that. It'll really freak people out. And I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, I might just be like, let the funeral director pick. They probably know what's best. It's not that I want to, you know, give up one last chance for self-expression. It's more like, you know, they don't need to hear swans just because I liked swans, you know? Maybe it would be better for the population, and there should probably be thousands of people there. Maybe it would be better for the population, you know, to just hear like an Alicia Keys song or something like that. I don't want to start a revolution. Or do I? Dude, statistically, this run is so good. We are literally just waiting. Let's go. On a spacebar item. The existence of a spacebar item will mean... I'll call it. I don't mean we can't be killed. We're pretty much unkillable once we hit spacebar status. We can even re-roll it once we put it down, which would be nice. But I think I'm just... I don't know. I'm trying to think of the way to explain it. I think I was overly sentimental as a teenager. I made a lot of mixtapes. This is not a joke, by the way. They weren't tapes. I mean, they were like burned CDs, but... No, no, no! I'm a fool. I think I burned up a lot of that sentimentality as a teenager. I'm just gonna throw that. And I'm glad I did, but still... it's just not good enough to get excited about. But yeah, I burned up a lot of that sentimentality as a teenager. I think I used a lifetime's worth of sentimentality in high school. And now people are like, you know, what song do you want played at your funeral? What do you want, like, the first dance of your wedding to be? I was, you know, I should say, very blessed that, you know, my wife is also... She's a little bit more sentimental than me, but we're both a little bit low on the sentimentality scale, for sure. Hold on, buy this. You know, we're cut from the same cloth there, without a doubt. It's like, what do you want the first song at your wedding to be? I'm not re-rolling this, I'm sorry to tell you. I want the first song at my wedding to be the sound of the Uber arriving to take us home so we can get on with our lives instead of having to be at this weird dancing dinner. That's not to say we won't do, like, a more proper wedding at some point, but, you know, it doesn't really concern me. That's why I'm very easygoing in that regard. All I ask is, at my funeral, there is a mass Twitch Prime unsubscription ritual. Free the subscribers. You can go subscribe to anybody else you wish. Don't listen to Malf. He's gonna make a hard play. If you want to give it to Malf, you can give it to Malf. But that's it. Don't let him trick you. It's your choice, okay? He's dastardly like that. I'm just joking. He's not dastardly like that. He's not dastardly in any regard, as far as I know. Anyway, that's my funeral joke. That's my joke about funerals. That's all I got, really. Again, it's been an eventless sort of time for us and for much of the world. I hope you guys are doing okay out there, staying sane. I recognize that in a period like this where a lot of people are going to be, you know, self-isolating, you know, there's two kinds of people. Well, I mean, there's always multiple different kinds of people. I didn't mean to pop it, dude. But, you know, there's people who will struggle, like, with supplies, and, like, that'll be the problem that they find is most annoying about, like, the social distancing and quarantining stuff. And then there's going to be people who suffer mentally. I feel like most of the people watching this, and I might be wrong about this, I'm just taking a shot in the dark. I feel like most of the people watching this, myself included, because I am watching it as I'm making it, sometimes observing in horror. Don't say that, don't say that, don't say that! He said kids should have more homework. Are you insane? But I think most people watching this are going to be the type that are not going to struggle that much with being inside. We've been training our whole lives for it. Again, I mentioned it last video or a couple videos ago, but I'm just kind of like, you know, enjoying my inside time. I spent my whole adult life trying to come up with excuses not to leave the house. Planet Earth came up with a good one for me. I'm not gonna say I appreciate it. Because I don't. Sincerely. But on the other hand, it's a good time to get back into reading some books. Let's put it that way. Good time. I was gonna say a good time to get a Kindle, but I don't know. It's a good time to have a Kindle. I don't even know if you can... How's shipping working right now? I honestly don't know. The weirdest part, and maybe it's a little eerie, is that I'm recording this like a week before it goes out. So you're like, hey, he still thinks there's books. We burned those all for fuel last week. Didn't you see Governor Cuomo's screed from the top of the burned out husk of 30 Rock? Probably not. Probably not. But if you are watching these from some kind of apocalyptic near future, hey, I hope you're enjoying the... I'm doing it. Hope you're enjoying a glimpse of what life was like in the past. There was literally just another key sitting there. You know? We'll use that for the shop. I'm being like, I was gonna say mostly being sarcastic, but I'm like 100% being sarcastic. Just wish I could convince people to actually stay inside. You know how many times this week I have seen people on Twitter suggest that the government telling you not to go outside for public health reasons is 1984-esque? Wait, and I'm gonna follow it up with another question. I've read 1984. I read it of my own volition when I was like 12, and then I read it in high school. It was like our main novel study in 11th grade. So I've read the book twice. It's an amazing book. It's a great book. What percentage of the people do you think that ask, is this 1984 on the regular on Twitter, have actually read the book 1984? I think the answer is probably like, I bet it's like 15%. It's not a hard novel, you know. If you pretend to read War and Peace, I understand. The thing is like 900 or 1,300 pages long. I've never read it, obviously. It's crazy. I understand. It's a huge time investment. 1984, you could read that in like an afternoon. Maybe 2 afternoons. I do worry sometimes in the sense that, like, I feel like we got a big chunk of society that is just allergic to advice. You know, they think that if they get told to do something by, like, someone in a lab coat, they're like, well, you think you're better than me? We don't necessarily need to go too far down this road. Just something that's been on my mind, you know, for, I don't know, 15 years is, you know, all this climate stuff, climate change stuff has really, you know, made it to the forefront of a lot of people's minds. And then people are like, you can't listen to the elite scientist. He owns a 2-bedroom home in Massachusetts. He's got a lot of skin in the game in this polar ice cap stuff. He's making a fortune. But now, like, you know, at least with climate change, I was like, you know, I don't forgive you, for the record. However, you know, it's one of those things, like, it's like a disease that's, like, potentially far away. Just bear with me on this one. I'm not trying to normalize climate change denial. But it's like, you know, the real nasty effects of it might not be felt for a few decades. It's kind of like... trying to think of a good disease. It's kind of like if you're an alcoholic and you read about cirrhosis, right? You know, it could affect you, and it's going to affect your health adversely, like, constantly. But you're probably not going to get full-blown cirrhotic until, you know, like 30 years from now. And even then, maybe you won't. So what's the point in taking precautions? This is a lot of people's philosophy, right? So with climate change, I hate to say it, but I sort of get it, even though I very much disagree. People are like, you know, I probably will be very old or dead by the time the true ill effects are felt, if it's even real, and they don't believe that it is in the first place. So, you know, I don't respect it at all, but I can sort of understand it. But with, like, an infectious disease, when people are like, don't trust the scientists, like, it's not that bad. I'm like, what do you are, like... You work as a like an accountant or like a welder or like you're making sandwiches at the grocery store or something like that, I don't see doctor in front of your name. Like, what? It's just insane to me that these people. I don't want to make my social media presence like related to this stuff. But I did feel like a compulsion. It's weird, you know, I was talking about it in like Dark Souls Randomizer, but like, I know a lot, and I'm not one of them, and this is not meant to be braggadocious, but I went to a school, like a university, that was one of Canada's top universities before their reputation got completely ruined. So I went to school with a lot of people who have made their careers now in academia. You know, they've got their own companies or they're working at, you know, universities in a professorial context. I know some smart people. I know some idiots because I grew up around them. Without fail, 100% of the way across the board, we'll take this. The smart people think they're idiots, and the idiots could not fathom the existence of anyone smarter than them on planet Earth. That's what I'm realizing. Isn't this is like Bader Meinhof or something like that? See, I'm not one of the smart guys, so I wouldn't know. I'm just staggered by how many people are like, you know what this world really needs right now? The opinion of a 36-year-old forklift driver who has no public health experience and in fact got a C+ in the last science course he took in high school. Just, it don't cost nothing to keep your mouth shut. Well, I don't know, I was gonna say it might cost you some followers, but most of the I just can't put myself in the shoes of people who are like, you know, they got like any amount of followers, you know, and they're like, I've seen and I don't want to name names, but I've seen so many gaming YouTubers that are like giving their, like, here's my opinion. If you're giving your thoughts on the issue and it agrees with the thoughts of, you know, the consensus of public health officials and scientists, then go ahead, you're raising awareness. I think that's shrewd. But if you're coming out with a hot take that disagrees with the science, I'm getting a real, like, where's Ja energy from that, you know, like where they ask Ja Rule his opinions on hot button issues for which he has no experience. Is like, you know, Tim the Gamer. What I think about coronavirus. Spoiler alert, the media's making it into something way bigger than it should be. And I'm like, Tim, nobody cares, dude. Why are you like this? Got a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks. Ain't ever seen a bacteria or a viron under a microscope, and you're out here like, the people need to know what Yoshi71 thinks about this outbreak. Sorry, Mom, can't wash my hands. All of my YouTubes need to know what I think of the virus right now. And then they type into Twitter like, just you wait. Once the viral epidemic is done, they will never give you your freedom back to go to Twin Peaks, the bar where the ladies are scantily clad. This is what they've always wanted, is to shut down Twin Peaks. They've been looking for a reason to shut down the nation's Hooters for decades. They finally got their chance. And I'm like, oh crap, he's on to us. Quick, make fun of him in an Isaac episode. Reduce his credibility. The world needs to know what Northernlion thinks. Anyway. We'll be moving on here. This is an incredibly fast... I mean, what did I tell you? Like, the only way... And I genuinely thought there was a chance I could have accidentally spacebarred myself into oblivion. But the only way we would lose on this run, for certain, was to press the spacebar at the wrong time. It's essentially completely impossible for us to bite the bullet at this point. That's not really the expression you use there. Bite the bullet is like, do something painful because it has to be done. Eat S is the word, is the idiom that I should be looking for there. Hey, you know what? Maybe this isolation period is a good opportunity for me to finally teach that class on English idioms. I shouldn't have even said it, because I know there's going to be people that are like, I'd really like to watch that. And I'm like, sorry to get your hopes up, but I would rather just play video games. It's my bad for bringing it up in the first place. It's not your bad for finding that idea interesting. That one's on me. Get me out of here. I'm prepared for the chest. Somehow we got, I honestly have almost no memory of anything that happened on this run. And I explain that to people. Sometimes, like a week after I record an Isaac episode, the episode goes up, and then they ask me what I was thinking when this happened. It's not like the sign of a dementia-addled brain. It's just like when you're doing things automatically, sometimes, you know, it's so automatic that your brain doesn't even consider the information important enough to make it into short-term memory, right? Like, you ever, like, brush your teeth? I'm not saying it happens often, but you, like, brush your teeth in the morning, and then, like, an hour later, you're using your tongue, you're, like, feeling your teeth, and you're like, did I brush these? I don't know if I brushed these. You're like, I always brush them, but they don't feel fully brushed. They feel like half brushed. What happened there? So then you go back and brush them, but as soon as you go back to brush your teeth, you're like, wait a minute, but the toothbrush is wet. I must have brushed them. You know? That's like, that's Isaac for me right now. It's like, I'm looking at some of these items and I'm just saying to myself, I don't know when we got this. When did we get this? How long have we had Mystery Egg for? This is crazy. How do we pick up so many items in such a short run? I had that happen this weekend. You guys are not going to like this anecdote because it's going to frustrate you. But I'll just tell you, okay? So I had to go out this weekend. Very briefly. I couldn't find my keys, and I had to be at a meeting. So I was like, Kate, can I take your keys? And I was kind of racking my brain, because I always put my keys in exactly the same spot, right? But they weren't there. So I was like, she must have moved them. I hate to say, it's literally never been the case that she has moved them. But that is sometimes where my brain goes. I'm sure a lot of people out there who are living with other people can relate. I can't find something. Me misplace it? Not possible. Must be, my wife must have picked it up for no reason whatsoever and then tossed it somewhere I would never think to look. Anyway, that was not the case here either. But the story's not even over yet. So I took her keys, and then when I came home, you know, I had some stuff to do around the house. I did the stuff around the house, and then I realized I had also lost my wife's keys. And I went, okay, this is now maybe cause to talk to a neurologist. And I started looking for them. I was looking around for like half an hour. And we don't live in like a huge place, right? There's not that many great hiding places for keys. I realized we have like these, I don't even know what you would call them, but they're kind of like cubbies where we put shoes. I was like, that's like the only place I can think of. I opened up one cubby, sure enough, her keys are in there. I opened up another cubby, sure enough, my keys are in there. I have no idea why my brain thought, you know, this is where keys go now. To be fair, the keys go on top of the cubbies. I guess just a little bit of a short circuit. But I knew as well, I was like, if I find one set, there's no question I'm going to find both. Because my brain is probably bad in the exact same way. I did that. You might think, oh, you should talk to somebody. No, it's just like, it's a lack of attention is all it is. I did it once in university too, I remember. I put, you know, I made a sandwich, and then I put the bread in the fridge, and I put the meat in the bread cupboard. Yeah, it's bad. And then one of my friends who lived with me, like a day later, he's like, why is there bread in the fridge? And I was like, duh, I'm so stupid. I must have put the bread in the fridge. Didn't even think about the meat. And then like a week later, I was like, oh, it's stinky out here. And I found the meat in the cupboard. Just one of those growing pains of the human mind. Hey, for now, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya.